This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Tuesday. I did have to think about that one that time. It's a freaking Tuesday. I'm pretty sure. Oh, fuck. I pulled up the browser from last night and Duran Duran was still playing from where I got cut off. Is that the meme I used last night? I was trying to find like today's meme of the day. Hey, I think I used that one last night. Apologies for whatever weird issues have been going on. The gremlins are getting me. Last night was like, I got signed out of Restream, and I don't know why. Twice. So I don't know. That'll work. That's a good meme for today. It's not the best quality meme, but it's topical. So that. And I'm in a jam. I need a meme. There we go. That's a meme. Very topical. Welcome, MILF. Good evening. Energy Flow, PP Girl. I don't know if I said hello to everybody in the pre-show. Is this what you're looking for advice for? Because I will give horrible advice, but since you're soliciting it here on my show, I'm going to assume it's okay for me to read your predicament and give you advice. It will be the shittiest advice. Do not take my advice. I'm going to preface that before I read it and give you advice. Is that cool? Okay. Is it unattractive to not accept compliments? I've been talking to this girl. She's really cute, and she tells me I'm pretty, and I'll just be like, no. In like a half-joking way, I just don't want to be annoying with not accepting a compliment. Okay, so here's something I've been working on. Shelly, good evening. This is something that I feel like I do in friendships. It's not just my, relationships with people. Like, I feel like I try to change their behavior, to manipulate their behavior for my comfort. Like that time my buddy and I were tripping, and he had like a bottle, and he's, what do you call it, stimming, he's got, autistic issues, and he's tripping and having a great time, and he is smacking that bottle like tap, 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 and it fucking drove me nuts, and I'm like, dude, fucking stop it with that fucking bottle. And we had this whole conversation about it, me trying to, and it ended up with me like, yeah, you're in my house, on my couch, I got us mushrooms. Yeah, don't tap that fucking bottle. But it's a thing that I do, and I'm not sure that's not exactly healthy. In one way, setting your boundaries and what is acceptable and everything to you is a healthy thing to do in a relationship, but to try to change somebody else's behavior for your comfort, that does seem toxic. Even if it is something simple that it seems inconsequential, right? Because you don't want... Because I've had people tell me like they have to walk on eggshells around me, and that's not a good feeling for people. That's definitely not... but that's also... I see that behavior... And now I'm getting completely off topic. I'm sorry, PP Girl. I'm going down a rabbit hole. We're not going down. I would think that... have the conversation with them that you feel uncomfortable with like be open and honest, I guess, and say, and also this seems like I'm giving pretty decent advice, actually. Be open and honest and say that you appreciate the compliments and everything, but like you're kind of, you're uncomfortable with them because of whatever insecurities or whatever, you're manifesting. So, does that seem right? Does the chat agree with me on that? I don't know. Cause I tend to, people apologize a lot. Like everybody seems to do it because I guess we're all, we've all got a thing in our head with our society. Eggshell flooring is skyrocketed. I don't want people to be uncomfortable around me, but also like, if you're doing something that's annoying the shit out of me, I'm going to tell you. And then with my buddy, we had this whole conversation. He's like, if you were on a public bus and somebody was tapping like that, like, you wouldn't say anything. And I was like, the fuck I wouldn't. I would absolutely tell and he's like, but no, everybody's just minding their own business and you're going to break that. And I'm like, no, see, that's the thing is most people don't want to disturb the peace. Most of the people on that bus would be annoyed by the dude tapping on the bottle, annoying everybody. But I'm the only one that's got the balls to speak up and tell him he's being annoying. So like, it was like, it was a very illuminating conversation because neither of us are right on this point, right? It's a matter of perspective. She's really into you, and it's not that you feel uncomfortable, it's just not used to it, not sure how to respond. Okay, that might be a you issue thing that you need to work on. Being more accepting of people being good to you. If you have had traumatic relationships in the past, people being nice to you can sometimes feel off-putting because you've been conditioned against it. But I am no therapist. Do not listen to me. Don't listen to Justin about anything, especially don't cheat on your taxes. It's not vandalism, it's a Roman paint job. Trumpy boy talking about making vandalism against Teslas and Tesla dealerships an act of domestic terrorism. I said don't cheat on your taxes. So yeah, just be open and honest with her about your feelings and go from there. As long as you both know what you're... Am I trolling? Who knows?
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Michael, good evening. That's a nice cock and balls. That's a nice long cock too. Being on a bus, I think you have more of an obligation to not disturb other people. It's a difference of perspective. Like, I get what he's talking about. And also, like, he's like tapping on the bottle, like to the music we're listening to. Like, that's what we're doing. We're sitting on the couch with music going and like a visualizer on the screen. And we're just grooving and talking and shit. And he's smacking that bottle. But like, it's loud as fuck. Like, it's... Cause I'm tripping. It sounds like it's like he's tapping right in my fucking ear. Has everyone seen? Is it Cash Patel has the MAGA red swastikar. Do people do it on purpose? Because I'd say a lot of people think I'm annoying, and I don't think I do it on purpose. I mean, I don't. Cause like when I'm out in public with friends and shit, like with Curiouser and things, like apparently I talk really loud and kind of I'm imposing, right? Like I'm just a loud person. I'm walking through the store, you're hearing my conversation. I'm bringing you into the conversation, which is I'm probably talking about something insane that no other. Oh my God, I hooked up with this dude one time. And Sparkles had a date, and apparently it didn't go well. She was supposed to have a roast made for her, and he fell asleep or something, didn't serve her roast, so she's pissed off and she's hungry. So she calls me, and like me and the dude, and this was like a younger dude. He was like 20-something young twink. And we were coming out of my bedroom, and Sparkles has messaged me like, "Hey, you want to go get something to eat?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm hungry." I was like, "Hey, you want to go with us to get something to eat?" And we decide on like IHOP or some shit. Boy, howdy! Like that kid didn't know what I shouldn't say kid. That 20-something twink I hooked up with didn't realize what he was in for, cause Sparkles and I probably had an insane discussion in front of him about who God only knows what, right? I try to use it for good. All right, I did not see, I can't help it. Like people tell me like, turn your volume down. Teachers were always like indoor voice, Justin. And I'm like, "What's that?" I don't have indoor voice. I have broadcast voice. And fuck. Me walking into a gas station that's completely quiet. Cashier be like, they're putting up cigarettes, they're taking inventory on something, and I walk up to the counter and I'm like, "Good afternoon," and it scares the piss out of them. Oh God, yeah, I've never been around kids. The only time I've ever had to put on a filter is like broadcasting, and even that, after I've done Twitch for this long, I don't think I could easily go back into terrestrial broadcasting and just turn it off again. I'd be on the TV station talking about eye pussies and shit, right? We would go in, like me and my buddy Jason would go in stores, and he'd be like, "Dude, shh." Because he was a photographer. He's like, some of these parents might be like coming to my studio. And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You're yelling pussy really loud in the Kmart." Ah, fuck. Question marks. Welcome in. Also, we need to get to the news. I've talked way too long. I didn't even preview what we're talking about. So let's just get right down to it. You don't need to know what's coming up on the news. You just know it's gonna be fucking stupid and weird. We'll start off tonight in Moscow, where apparently Ukraine bombarded them with a hell of a drone strike. Someone would have to sit next to me with a spray bottle. This is the devastating aftermath of one of Ukraine's biggest drone attacks of the war so far. Wild dramatic music being played by the sun here. This is like an 8-minute video. This needs to be more informative than just this. Russian air defenses were left scrambling to shoot down Ukraine's 337 drones. Russian officials described a mass attack, the first major strike on the capital and surrounding region since November. Ukraine's Seth drone, a compact Shahed replica, has a 40 to 70 kilometer range. And apparently an onboard camera that we're watching right fucking now. Ah, god damn it. Ukraine has apparently been manufacturing like some of the most state-of-the-art drones, as I understand it. The Shahed, well, it was a knockoff of a Shahed, it said. Ukrainian troops strike an enemy tank after Russian forces breach Ukrainian defenses in Lyman. Bam! The music turned to something more like Metallica. This is wild. I'm sorry if any Metallica fans felt insulted I said that. Shahed! It matters to the person who made it. I'm not honoring their legacy. Dramatic footage shows Russian paratroopers attempting to capture the position on the 21st Mechanized Brigade. Now we got really dramatic music. I'm not high enough for this. It's a very good question, Ponder Monkey. Probably I was tripping or on DMT or something. I was like, oh my god, I'm way too high. This is fun footage. 336 drones? Was that what it was? I wonder if that had something to do with Ukraine pulling off the ballsy move they've been able to pull off. Apparently, we have an agreement for a ceasefire. All we need is Russia to sign on to it. Let's see where this is going to go. Marco Rubio at his trip abroad to Saudi Arabia, announcing the deal earlier today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My apology. All I saw, I came back to we can't hear it, and then Mock saying I'm okay with it.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to...
Toads, good evening. Welcome in.
I want to personally thank, we both want to thank the Kingdom of...
Best Marco has sounded ever. Oregon gal, welcome in. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, my apologies, but that worked out well. Let's move over to other foreign affairs. The former president of the Philippines, Philip Duterte. Was it Philip? Something Duterte. I don't even remember what his first name is. I thought it said Philip, but it says Philippine over here. Was his name Phil Duterte? Great. Rodrigo Duterte, thank you.
Of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte is on a plane on his way to The Hague, according to his lawyer. Duterte was taken into custody by police in Manila earlier today, acting on an arrest warrant.
We can't get that lucky, monkey.
International Criminal Court. Now, the ICC alleges Duterte committed crimes against humanity in his brutal crackdown on drugs that killed thousands of Filipinos during his 6-year presidency. Well, in a video shot after he was detained, he claimed the arrest was illegal. Well, let's bring in Richard Heydarian, who is a podcaster, lecturer, and the author of The Rise of Duterte. Richard, you have an enormous amount of experience in covering Duterte. Just let's start with these charges and exactly what he is accused.
There are so many people I'd like to see at The Hague. The next one on the list, tippy top, is a man by the name of Benjamin Netanyahu. Needs to be at The Hague.
Of doing.
Hey, PP girl, Jinx.
A sense about
Dick Cheney needs to be at The Hague.
You after that, let's start with these charges, if you will. What do we understand?
Yeah, I wouldn't even. Trump is like far down on the list right now. There are several other U.S. Obama goes to The Hague before Trump does at this moment. Like, our problems with Trump are like domestic. Like, he hasn't committed like crimes against humanity that we know of yet.
Well, first of all, it's good to be back. I think the last time we had a conversation, I just had returned from
Oregon gal
visit or meeting with President Duterte when he was at the height of his power. So
that is true, and he did that in 2020 as well.
The cases are concerned, these are very robust cases. We're talking about people,
but I do believe they were released.
Part of the darkness of his death squads and alleged extrajudicial killings now testifying or have been testifying to the International Criminal Court. One was Mr. Las Cañas. Another one was Mr. Matobato, who recently made it, I think, to Europe to provide direct evidence to ICC. We had multiple communications by multiple groups in civil society groups, also opposition leaders like Senator Trillanes, who provided overwhelming evidence that there was something systematically wrong with Duterte's drug war, meaning that what you had there was not a real drug war based on due process, but actually extrajudicial killings whereby death squads, mercenaries, and some would even say members of the Philippine National Police kind of cladding themselves and then doing some really, really dark and bloody things during night. So Manila turned into kind of a killing fields, really. If you look at it, you're looking at 20, 30,000 Filipino. You're looking at hundreds of children like Kion de los Santos. I mean, there's so many of them that it's really hard for us to cope with the enormity of this human rights catastrophe. So to be honest, despite that the gravity of the crisis, the fact that Sara Duterte, his daughter, became the vice president, the fact that that Duterte is running for mayor right now, by the way, we'll talk about him more. Part of us were still skeptical. Will we see a day of justice? So this is a very, very big deal to see him really whisk out immediately out of the Philippines to The Hague, most likely in the coming hours and days, so that he doesn't come back to the country and kind of try to pull off his, I don't know, Trumpian comeback and present himself as a victim and try to rally people and rally support ahead of a very important elections in the Philippines in a month or two. Yeah.
Because, of course, he is very well supported by a very vocal base, not just in the Philippines, but in by a Filipino diaspora around the world who, of course, repatriate their money to the Philippines, right? I mean, there is certainly a base of support for the former president.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he basically has, I know many are going to get mad at me, kind of his own version of a MAGA in the Philippines, a kind of a very right-wing populist base, which is solidly behind him, sees a man of strength and decisiveness in him. As we speak, Duterte supporters are tagging President Donald Trump online to come and save Duterte, because last time I checked, Donald Trump is against the ICC for the warrant of arrest they issued against Netanyahu, among other allies of the U.S. So going back to this, I mean, their base of support, first of all, is in the south of the Philippines, the so-called solid south, the Mindanao region, where there is a lot of legitimate grievances against the national government. I mean, it is one of the poorest areas of the country. I come from the north of the country, where our Human Development Index is almost Southern Europe. But if you go to Mindanao, their Human Development Index is sub-Saharan African level. So Duterte's have a very strong following there because they have weaponized the grievance. They also have religious groups, powerful religious groups. One religious group, for instance, the other month had a 1 million strong rally. So definitely you never underestimate their base of support. But nevertheless, also I would say, it is not invincible. It is not invincible. Their popularity is not at the same level as before when we had this conversation. And Sara Duterte, the daughter, doesn't have his spontaneity, doesn't have his charisma, and I would argue doesn't have his Machiavellian competence. So they do have a vulnerability.
Interesting.
Their father ends up thousands of miles away facing a trial in The Hague.
Hopefully this is something comparable in that, you know, the offspring of our horrid president don't have the charisma to pull off a dynasty. Someone in the chat, might have been Mox, mentioned that Trump is disappearing protesters, and that is absolutely true. Protesters clashed with the NYPD today during demonstrations in support of Mahmoud Khalil, the student that has been extrajudiciously detained by the United States. They're attempting to revoke his green card. He's a permanent citizen with an American wife who is pregnant and needs to be home with her. It is bullshit that his rights have been violated.
Media, back up.
All the motherfuckers that are all over social media saying, well, he's not a citizen, he doesn't have rights. Nope, he is a permanent resident. He's not a citizen. He is a permanent resident. He was on his path to citizenship. He did everything right, just like they say.
GUS. Go down. Bring him down. It's really not necessary. Just calm down, please.
It does seem like people are finding a distaste for this administration. I don't know that protests are going to do anything, but it's better than nothing. So it is a show of popular will. Just a couple of hours ago, the GOP House passed the first leg of the continuing resolution that they're trying to get through, both the House and the Senate, in order to keep the government open for the next 6 months.
for a moment to note that the House did just pass the bill. In fact, with one Democrat.
One Democrat voting for it, one Republican voting against it.
Has to vote for this continuing resolution. I don't know if that surprises you at all, Lauren. He's obviously one of the very vulnerable swing district Democrats.
Yeah, so I mean, it surprises me, but I haven't done a ton of politicking in Maine recently, so maybe maybe I'm not the best judge for that.
Record their vote by electronic device. It's a 5-minute vote.
Just putting a quick ear on the floor here as they get it done. There was a round of applause. Donald Trump is still talking to the business roundtable. Presumably will be for a bit of time here. This was all
Byronic.
He obviously isn't available to be making phone calls right now.
I mean, you got to hope Johnson finally learned to live by the gospel.
Massey being all into that stupid libertarian shit could work to the progressives' favors on many issues. I've said it before. There are things that we could work with Massey, Rand Paul on. There's totally things that Josh Hawley will work with us on. Especially the three I just mentioned, they would totally be about banning congressional stock trades. That's one issue all three of them would totally be with us on. It's funding the government at the same levels currently. That's what the continuing resolution is, just to continue the budget for another 6 months.
Pelosi, you never bring up a vote if you think you're going to lose. He learned and was burned in the last Congress. Multiple times. So I think that clearly they felt they had the votes. And Jared Golden, not as surprising given like where his district is. I mean, it's one of the more Trump-leaning districts in the country. You raise a good point on the debt limit, because I think like Democrats are much more comfortable voting down, and if the government shuts down on this front.
Yeah.
The debt limit, I think, is something that philosophically recognize like the responsibility to keep the government, to not mess with the debt limit. And the full faith and credit of the U.S. government not being questioned. So I think there's another leg for that to unfold. Mm-hmm. I think the Democrats will probably, and if it comes to a fight like that, will keep will raise the debt limit. It just is tough when you've had the well poisoned so poorly with the DOJ and all the cuts, and just blatantly violating congressional authority on spending.
Well, and it's possible that the debt limit gets rolled into the wider budget reconciliation effort, Lauren. That's the structure the House has outlined in its budget, or structure at least.
Yeah, Sam Cedar stealing my shtick of calling senators. Of course, he did not ask Senator Schumer out for a date. The way I ask Senator Ernst out for a date. Mike Johnson trying to blame Democrats. Had the bill failed today, he said it was going to be on Democrats because they didn't help him pass the bill, which is kind of wild since Republicans control everything. Here's Representative Jasmine Crockett to explain why he's stupid.
All right, let's discuss all the breaking news up on Capitol Hill with Congressman Tony Gonzalez. He's a Texas Republican congressman. Thanks so much for joining.
Oh, I guess Crockett's after Gonzalez here.
House Speaker Mike Johnson placed the blame on Democrats for the potential of a government shutdown should today's spending bill fail to pass. The clock is clearly ticking. First, there's still a question if Johnson has enough Republican votes. Do you plan to vote, first of all, in support of this spending bill, this CR, this continuing resolution?
Yeah, good morning, Wolf, and thank you for having me. There is not a lawmaker up here that likes CRs. All of us have voted against them. All of us have voted for them at different periods. But governing is messy. And what I appreciate about President Trump is his willingness to listen to members of Congress and work towards a solution. There were two things in particular that I was advocating for. You know, I spent 20 years in the military. I retired a Navy Master Chief.
Oh, you're in the military.
In this bill is the largest pay increase for junior enlisted service members, E1 through E5, in the history of our nation. It's long time we get our service members off food stamps. This bill is going to do that. Another thing that I'd have advocated for was increased funding for border security. And just when the administration is getting going, I think now's not the time to pull the rug from underneath the administration. I was able to fly on Air Force 2 with the Vice President to the border this past week and saw firsthand the Vice President is very influential in allowing people to understand what the administration is trying to do For those reasons, I do plan to vote in favor of this CR and to keep the ball rolling. There's a lot more discussions that need to be had, but I think it's a positive direction that the administration is going in.
There's a question about some of your Republican colleagues who are planning on voting against it, for example, Thomas Massey. And you heard President Trump now threaten to go after him, this Republican congressman, if he votes against this continuing resolution. Are you at all, are you hearing from your Republican colleagues in the House that are concerned if they vote against the CR, the continuing resolution, the president will go after them and seek to primary them in the upcoming midterm elections?
No, I think it's less of that. Look, members were elected to represent their districts, and that's exactly what we do. In the same breath, President Trump, in just a very short period of time, his policies are working. And now is not the time to cut funding. Now is the time to make sure that they have all the resources they need.
What's your definition of working, sir?
We're an equal branch of government. We need to have a seat at the table. And I think it's a positive thing to have this dialogue, to have this back and forth. But I also think it's important to the American people. We need to deliver. Enough with the talk, enough with the blame game. We need to deliver for the American people. President Trump is doing that. Congress needs to come alongside and make sure it's constructive, that we're having a dialogue and making sure that we are indeed getting that agenda done.
All right, let's get some Democratic reaction to all the things that...
Here we go. This is what we came for.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas is joining us here in the Situation Room. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. You heard the House Speaker. I assume you heard what he said. He's basically blaming the Democrats, people like you, if this continuing resolution is defeated in the House later today.
Listen, he can't blame me for not wanting to be his doormat or for the Democrats not wanting to be their doormat. I mean, all we consistently hear from them is they have this mandate that the American people gave them. Well, I am saying that I have a mandate from my district, and it does not involve cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare. And if we're going to just focus on this continuing resolution, let's talk about it, because I know you just talked to my other colleague from Texas, and he was boasting about the increase in pay for certain service members while not talking about the fact that those that have already served our country, our veterans, that they're going to lose so much of their care. We know that right now they're looking to cut close to 80,000 people from the Veterans Affairs. And then in addition to that, in this CR, all the money for bills that we've passed before, specifically that extra money that we put in for the toxic burn pits, they want to take that out. So it should not be a either or when it comes to those that have served our country or those that are willing to serve our country. And right now they're pitting them against one another. We see as they've decided they're not going to do any more town hall. So I don't know if Tony even knows what his constituents want, that they are consistently getting railed against because of the way that they're treating veterans by making sure that these firings, they're not standing up for the people. They're not standing up for the House. So no, I'm not going to vote for the continuing resolution. The Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. If they want to get their draconian stuff passed that's going to hurt my constituents, they're going to do it by themselves.
And what's very worrisome is that so many veterans who work in federal government agencies are now being fired for various reasons as a result.
Approximately 1/3 of our workforce for the federal government, they're veterans.
Veterans, and we want to make sure those veterans are protected by all means. I want to play a little clip of what we heard from the House Speaker and get your reaction. So listen to this.
They're planning to vote down this simple bill. They are going to try to shut the government down. Every House Democrat will participate in this, it looks like. That would be a shame if it's true. I hope some of them will have a moment of clarity themselves and do the right thing, but it looks like they're going to try to shut down the government. It's a striking new posture for Democrats who have always said they've just been applicable.
That's just wild. For Republicans to be in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and for them to say the Democrats are going to shut down the government.
About the prospect of government shutdowns.
You want to react?
Yeah, I'm going to say that we don't want the government to shut down. And frankly, this president has single-handedly not just been shutting the government down, but literally trying to dismantle it. And I haven't heard a word out of them. In addition to that, we know that we have been talking about impoundment, which is basically saying, hey, the power of the purse belongs to Congress. Well, guess what? Our speaker doesn't act that way. He doesn't get out there and say, hey, Mr. President, you can't do this. Once we've appropriated dollars, then these dollars are supposed to be for this. And one of the things
Lenny, good evening.
In this continuing resolution is the fact that they are going to give even more latitude. This is basically going to be a slush fund for Elon and Donald Trump. They are getting rid of the parameters around the spending. I think the comparison was that we have maybe 88 total pages of kind of whatever the parameters are for how the monies are to be spent, but the majority of the discretion goes to Trump and Elon, when we normally had, I think in our last one, typically we have about 2,800 pages.
We know there are a handful potentially, of Republican House members who are going to vote against the continuing resolution, and that could torpedo it. But do you see a bunch of your fellow Democrats voting for it to keep the government open?
Not that I've heard. And you know what? It's interesting that the speaker knows how to call out my colleagues, but this is their bill. So why not call out your own colleagues, the ones that elected you to be their speaker? Listen, Nancy Pelosi didn't have these problems. So if they need some help, maybe you should tune into a woman, because maybe a woman to get it done.
Like you, is that what you're saying? You're going to vote against the continuing?
I'm going to vote against it. Now, if they want to decide that they're going to start negotiating in good faith, remember our last continuing resolution? Remember, it was sunk because Elon decided to go on Twitter, and at this point in time, he had never graced the Oval Office. And so if this is how they want to govern, then you're going to have to get your own house in order. But you can't come to us and just say, here, take it, and we're supposed to say, yes, thank you so much for making us take it. That is not why we were elected. And we want the American people to see that these people cannot function. Well, you've been talking about a stopgap. Everybody's talking about a stopgap.
The continuing resolution.
The continuing resolution. But it's not a stopgap, right? Because for everyone at home, just know that our bills, when we do appropriations, they are for 1 year, right? And they go from September to September. This isn't a stopgap. They've not been able to pass their own appropriations bills out of the House in the entire year. And so now they want to do this all the way to September. They never would have passed appropriations.
I took notes of what the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, was saying, and he said this continuing resolution that's going to come up for a vote later today, which you will oppose, contains, he says, no cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security.
Yeah, so it is interesting that obviously we passed the budget resolution, or they passed the budget resolution that is going to require them to go into these cuts, but they've not got their single bills passed. We've got 12 specific kind of categories. And so for everybody at home, when you think about it, when you're paying your bills, you've got your electricity, you've got your house note, you've got that. So that's what we do. We have 12 separate bills, and they've not been able to pass those 12 individual bills. And in those, that is where they are prescribing for the cuts to those specific programs. Now in this, they are prescribing other cuts, such as they want to get rid of money that was in the Inflation Reduction Act, and they want to take back monies, obviously, for our veterans and things like that. So I don't know if they ever plan to actually go through the 12 single appropriations bills going forward. I mean, when you're passing a continuing resolution for the entire fiscal year, I don't know why they won't try to keep doing this. I don't know what they're doing.
Democratic Congressman Jasmine Crockett, thanks so much for coming in.
You know, I saw several people in the chat expressing their admiration for Representative Crockett. I would like you to hold off on that, because apparently she is not who she says she is. Did you know that she is actually faking it? There is a whole set of memes and videos going around in right-wing circles that just all seem to pop up over the weekend attacking Jasmine Crockett. It seems that she is the new darling of the right.
Tell you what you guys may not know. She wants you to believe that she's straight out of the hood, okay? She wants you to believe that she's the star of her own little gritty street drama, but I want you to hold on for a second. There's a plot twist. When it comes to Jasmine Crockett, the actual truth is she's more like a character from a high-budget rom-com set in a pristine suburban neighborhood. Let's call it Fresh Princess of Dallas. She attended an elite private day school where the tuition cost nearly $35,000 per year. She ain't from the streets, y'all. This institution, known for very privileged clientele, and it provides...
I don't know where she ever claimed to be from the streets. All I've ever heard her claim about herself is that she's a fucking badass lawyer.
Her with the level of education and resources that many in lower income neighborhoods that she's trying to relate to could only dream of. So I want you to picture little Jasmine, fresh out of her exclusive day school, rolling up to the playground in designer sneakers, ready to take on the world. Meanwhile, kids in the neighborhood are trying to figure out how to navigate the complexities of the ice cream truck schedule. She didn't have the struggle, folks. And then she went over to Rhodes College. Let me tell you what the tuition at Rhodes College is. Any guesses? It's $55,000 a year. Oh, little Jasmine was getting educated. I mean, at $55,000 a year, I half expect her to show up in class in a ball gown sipping Dom Perignon while discussing Shakespeare and the finer points of avocado toast. But somewhere along the way, she traded her glass slippers for Ebonics. So let's be real. Jasmine is cosplaying a gangsta like she's auditioning for a reality show called Real Politicians of Privilege. Now, we can just imagine her strolling into a meeting wearing a hoodie and an oversized sunglasses while her assistant carries her $500 design organic snacks, rolling in to represent the streets with the mocha latte and the stock portfolio. So when she TikToks to they not like us, the fact is clear. No, she ain't nothing like us.
Like, oh, she ain't nothing like you.
May not know. She wants you.
And I am sure he is a poser in a cowboy hat. You guys are absolutely right. Not only has she never claimed to be from the hood or from the streets, this is just character assassination. You're accusing her of doing exactly what Senator John Kennedy does. That foghorn leghorn speech of his with his Ivy League education when he tries to be all folksy. Come the fuck on. There's a reason why they don't play clips of leftists on right-wing content. You'll notice that. Like, I'll play the right-wing clips and respond to them. All the leftists will play right-wing clips and respond to them. They don't play left-wing clips, or if they do, it's only like a short little snippet, maybe 7-8 seconds. They won't ever let you hear a whole conversation 6, 7, 8 minutes. Why? Because the leftists might make sense to you. Avalon, good evening. Welcome in. Tones, did I tell you good evening? Anybody else I didn't get tonight? Josephus, nobody in the chat is your enemy. Dial it back just slightly. Don't attack the chat. Oh, fuck. We're all against this shit clinically. Good evening, my friend. America is not your enemy. We've all got to deal with this stupid-ass administration. We'll get through it. We didn't ask for this. Nobody in this chat is responsible for this. We all tried to stop it. Of all the people in this country, in terms of education being up on the issues, it's this chat. Oh, Casey Bonk, thank you for being a freaking follower. Welcome in, my friend. Good evening. Trump, Quesadilla, welcome in. Trump downplaying the market falling drastically.
We're going to have drops and markets are going to go up and they're going to go down. Yeah. But you know what? We have to rebuild our country. Our country has been stripped of its jobs, of its factories. And I'm tired of seeing where they build apartments, cheap apartments in an old broken down factory. But you have factories all over the place that are empty from many decades ago. And we're going to change it around. And it's all taxing policy. You know, it's really a policy because we have great workers, great people. It's really a policy of taxing and incentives. And I'm bringing the incentives back. And I'll tell you what, numerous plants, and I don't want to mention specifically, but I'll mention this one, numerous plants in Mexico and other places that were under construction or soon to be under construction are now coming here, and they've dropped that because it was unfair what was happening. Mexico, they were building cars, they were selling them into the United States with no tax, no nothing. And in the United States, we were allowing them to take our jobs and take our factories, and we don't do that anymore. I don't see it at all. I think this country is going to boom. But as I said, I can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way to do it is exactly what I'm doing, but the results are going to be 20 times greater.
What does it mean that, like, Rachel also quit my Instacart and I ended up with Samuel? I thought I was a good Instacart client. Now Trump said that about 4 or 5 hours ago. This was before the stock market closed for the day.
Another rocky day on Wall Street as the stock market closed down again today. To help you ride out the sell-off, WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe went to local experts for advice.
You know what, Casey? Light one up, tip one back.
New food hall, stock and grain. Most people are taking the dip in the stock market with a grain of salt.
The stock market is going to do what it has to do, but I think if we focus in on what we can control, we would have like a peace in all of this.
Take a deep breath, step back, look at the big picture.
Certified financial planner Matt Logan with Tomorrow Wealth also says it's important to stay calm.
I've lived through COVID.
That backwards compatible PS3 is probably worth like $1,000 at least.
For perspective on how we're doing now, stockbrokers use something called the Volatility Index, or VIX. The higher this graph gets, the more uncertainty people have about the future of the stock market. And the worse the stock market...
Progressive Squirrel, good evening.
Now, since President Donald Trump took over earlier this year, the VIX has gone up. But if we zoom out over all the time frame here...
Yeah, it's probably that they're telling you don't panic because they don't want you to take your money out before they take their money out.
Here over the past 20 years, there is currently much less uncertainty now than during COVID or before the 2008 crash.
This is a blip in the radar as far as overall volatility.
And the White House is trying to reassure people even more.
They said right before bird flu.
That economic nightmare under a president who had no idea.
Goes human to human.
Never held a private sector job in his life into a golden age of American manufacturing under a businessman and a deal maker in chief in President Donald J. Trump, who is implementing the formula that we know works.
In the meantime, experts say the best snackable advice is to follow Jackie Davis's lead.
Make sure you're saving money, paying off debt, be there for your families, love on your neighbors. Those are the things that we can control.
Ben Briscoe, 2 wants to know.
Ben Crisco. This was a hilarious moment from the White House press conference earlier today. What is it? Steve Ducey? It's Doug Ducey. It's Doug Ducey is the kid, right? Doug Ducey is the kid. Doug Ducey was at the White House press conference earlier today. He asked the right question. Is Peter the kid? Steve is the old guy. Peter is the kid. Peter is the kid. Who's Doug Ducey? Peter's the kid. Okay, we're going to Peter Ducey.
So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly workers, should bet on President Trump because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over this world.
President Trump, so you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping.
How many people in the chat thinks they shorted the Dow? I totally think they shorted the Dow. Fucking hey, Casey, thank you for subbing. Welcome in. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, today was the turn White House into a Tesla show. Damn. Casey Bonks, thank you. Thank you. Fuck, let's dance. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you thinking? There's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the call.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in Discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one it and tip one back. One more clip before we hit the set. Set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but it takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN. Not high enough for this shit. MILF, don't tell anyone, but technically I was supposed to shave my head again. My dumb ass was like, if Donald Trump wins the popular vote, I'll shave my head again. That'll never happen. Well, let's just say I just got my hair back. It's just now starting to look good again. It's been in the awkward phase for so long. It's just now starting to lay pretty. And like I can play with it and shit. I'm just now getting my hair back. Anyway. Instead of listening to me cry about not shaving my head, let's listen to Donald Trump cry about how he's not allowed to drive a car.
President Trump, are you looking to buy or lease today?
Well, I'm going to buy, and I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets, and number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this. I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people, and I just want people
on.
You can't be penalized for being a patriot, and he's a great patriot. And he's also done an incredible job with Tesla, and I mean, nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful. And because he's able to find
Stellantis,
billions and billions and billions.
I guess it's not technically a startup, is it?
All of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon because of a lot of the things that he's done and a lot of the things that I'm doing. And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing.
What was the medical emergency that
And when I watched the other day,
Grimes' kid was having the other day?
The opposite. People should be going wild, and They love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in an economic sense. And I just think that's very unfair. So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news.
Which one is more over-leveraged in scams, Elon, the kid, or Trump? I'd say the kid.
But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it. And
that's Grimes' kid.
About that. I'm not allowed to use it. Can you believe it? One of my great things in life is that I can, I like to drive cars, but I'm not allowed to.
They're both so weird. They're both equally invested in scams, aren't they? Fresh Air on NPR had Bill Burr on as a guest, and he had this to say about one Mr. Elon Musk.
Is beyond me. And where my comedy act is right now is I'm trying to get regular people to stop yelling at each other and realize that it's a select few group of nerds, okay, eating raw almonds and doing their stupid workouts and everything and just competing with each other to have the biggest infinity pool, and the rest of us are getting pushed down. And they've politicized the whole stupid thing, and we're falling for it.
And who's the they? Besides people who eat almonds?
That idiot Elon Musk.
Oh.
That guy, he's going to, who evidently is a Nazi. I just refuse to believe that it was an accidental 2-time Sieg Heil. And he does it at a presidential inauguration. This is why I hate liberals. It's like liberals have no teeth whatsoever. They just go, oh my God, can you believe I'm getting out of the country? I'm just like, you're going to leave the country because of one guy with dyed hair plugs and a laminated face who makes a bad car and has an obsolete social media platform? You're going to leave this. Why doesn't he leave? Why isn't he stopped? What are we so afraid of this guy who can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag?
Who would have ever thought that Bill Burr would turn out to be the voice for the moment? Is going to come out and tell everybody, that's the dude that's going to mainstream Luigi. He's telling everybody about how awesome Luigi is. He's telling everybody about how big of a dork Elon Musk is. Amazing. Thank you, Bill Burr. There was a woman sitting next to... Fair enough, Holiday. Fair enough. 15 years ago, I could have thought he could have went either way. I thought he could have went in Chud World. But he didn't. He has kept to his principles, and that's awesome. Elon had a woman sitting next to him at the State of the Union last week. That woman was a blonde woman that was apparently a mystery woman. Until now.
The mystery blonde seen at Elon Musk's side during President Trump's joint address to Congress is speaking out and says her newfound fame has been a nightmare.
It was funny at first, and then it changed, and then it became awful.
Heather Valentino says everyone is getting the wrong idea from that video.
Igloo, good evening.
Graciously accepting a bottle of water from the world's richest man and applauding enthusiastically as Musk was singled out for praise by Trump.
Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
Online trolls dubbed her Musk's next baby mama, but she tells CNN's Caitlin Collins she was just being polite. There was no flirting.
Had you ever even met Elon Musk before last week?
No, it's all quite ridiculous, actually.
So you had no connection, and you just happened to be seated next to him in the chamber when he came in the room.
Yeah, it was absolutely by chance. I did not know Elon Musk. Flirting. I think we talked a couple times, and when I stood up with Elon Musk, I wasn't gonna stay seated. It wasn't like I was smooching or flirting. It wasn't that at all.
The 53-year-old esthetician runs a medical spa outside Pittsburgh, and she says her life has been turned upside down.
I haven't gone back to work yet. It's been quite awful. The backlash from just the seat is, it's ridiculous. Elon Musk has got to go!
Meanwhile, protests against Musk's Tesla Corporation seem to be escalating. Arsonists are targeting Tesla dealerships and charging stations across the USA. In a new interview, Musk admits
she's pregnant, but his dick did not go in her.
How are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
Today, President Trump stepped in and actually purchased a Tesla. Musk brought every Tesla model to the White House for Trump to check out.
Should I get in?
He chose a sleek red Model S.
Wow.
Wow, he said the picture of them together in the car is fucking hilarious. Look at these two big dumb goofs. It's all computer. That's almost as good as the picture of him in the truck from the first administration. Remember when they let him drive the semi? Well, I mean, he didn't drive. He got to sit in the driver's seat. They didn't let him drive the semi. Dip, welcome in. His face is as red as the car. Okay, get this. This one's gonna blow your tits off. Are you ready? This is so fucking funny. Trump's lawyer, Elena Haba, thinks she found a fake Oval Office. She thinks she found Biden's fake Oval Office. I don't know what she means by fake Oval Office. This is insane.
Guys, I just finished a show. Look at the room that they put me in. We're in Biden's fake Oval Office, everybody. And I've actually figured this out. I now know why. I now get it. Turn the camera around. There is a screen, teleprompter to the face. All I can say is the last administration was a disgrace. You guys, I just finished a show.
Boy, is she fucking dumb, because that's just the setup where, like, he would have meetings with world leaders and shit. Trump can do it, too. They can use that screen, and they can have multiple, it's like video conferencing. We watched numerous press conferences that Biden did from that room. That's not a fake Oval Office. She's just a really fucking big moron.
Come on, man.
Dumbest fucks walking the planet. But hey, good for her. She found it. She's a liar. Remember when what was it she fucked up in court? And I figured Trump would have turned on her then, because he gave like a scathing interview that night after court. But she's still with him somehow. This is she found a broadcasting room where they would set up video conferencing with different agencies. I think we might have seen like meetings of like scientists and the CDC there. Like, we know exactly what that room is. We watched clips throughout the Biden administration from it. She's a bad lawyer, indeed. Yeah, like, if it was a fake Oval Office, it would have a fake Resolute desk. It would be oval. It would look like the Oval Office if it was a fake Oval Office. I don't know what she means by fake Oval. Like, the whole thing is mind-boggling. Now we're going to turn to California, and we've got a governor's race that's getting ready to heat up. And somebody that I was hoping that we hadn't heard the last of in politics is throwing her name in the hat.
Yeah, Katie Porter hopes you, the voters, send her here to the state capitol as California's next chief executive. But there's a lingering question hanging over the entire 2026 gubernatorial race. Will Kamala Harris run?
What California needs now is a little bit of hope and a whole lot of grit. Fresh blood and new ideas, and leaders with the backbone to fight for what's right. That's why I'm running for governor.
With that, Democratic former Orange County Congressmember Katie Porter says she's all in the 2026 race for California governor to replace Gavin Newsom when he's termed out.
Californians hear a lot of excuses from elected officials.
That's a complex problem. That's proving challenging. That's not my job. It's too hard.
What a bunch of bullshit.
In this campaign launch video released Tuesday, Porter promised if elected governor, she will take on the Trump administration and address issues like public safety and the economy.
You may be right on that, Mox.
Who's invested in our kids' futures.
I mean, you're right, they definitely suck.
Knows the price of groceries. I've only ever been motivated by one thing, making Californians' lives better. And I'll go toe-to-toe with anyone who tries to hurt Californians.
But Porter, who most recently went toe-to-toe and lost to Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey in the 2024 U.S. Senate primary, will now have to go toe-to-toe with a number of major gubernatorial candidates. They include former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, California Superintendent Tony Thurmond, former State Senate Leader Tony Atkins, and former State Controller Betty Yee. Riverside County Sheriff Republican Chad Bianco also announced his candidacy.
Oh shit, this motherfucker.
On top of all of that, we're waiting on former Vice President Kamala Harris to make her decision in this race. Politico reports she will make a final decision whether to enter the race by the end of the summer.
Harris has not said as much, but it's reasonable to assume that she would not get into this race unless the Democrats were willing to clear the field for her.
Political communications professor Dan Schnur says Harris's ultimate decision whether to run will determine if we're in for a competitive race.
It's unlikely that many other Democratic candidates.
He's got a point.
Decide for Katie Porter the way they would for Kamala Harris.
And so voters are familiar with her as the senator, as the vice president, and you just cannot quantify the importance of her name recognition. And there's nobody in the current field who has the statewide name recognition that Harris does.
And we've heard reaction from a few
Katie Porter does, I think.
Candidacy. Former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa welcomed her into the race.
She was an MSNBC darling.
Republican Chad Bianco said this, quote, "We cannot expect the same people who created this mess to get us out of it. Californians deserve so much better." At the state capitol, Eitan Wallace, KTLA 5 News.
Is she going to win the plutocracy of the vote? It's going to be an interesting race. It's definitely going to be a governor's race that we're going to be paying attention to. We got a mayoral race in New York City we're going to be paying attention to. Do you guys want to do, like, the primary debates and all that shit for the mayoral race in New York City, for the California gubernatorial race, which is what, next year? Nearly half of the education department staff set to be eliminated after today, apparently. What?
I do want to get out to some breaking news involving the Department of Education, as we're now learning that nearly half of the workforce there is set to be immediately eliminated. I want to put up a post from Fox News about this here on Live Now from Fox, talking about this. Nearly half of the Department of Education staff to be eliminated immediately, as slated to receive a, quote, reduction in force notice on Tuesday ahead of a staff, nearly half, getting terminated. I do want to put up just this live picture right now outside of the Department of Education, as personnel with that department are set to receive this reduction of force notices. Earlier Tuesday, a memo was sent to all staff employees informing that the offices will be closed on Tuesday evening through Wednesday due to security reasons. Employees were instructed to leave the offices by 6 o'clock on Tuesday. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said they would like to see states hold control over individual education systems, including campaigning on the issue ahead of the 2024 election. The expected, quote, reduction in force notice comes after reports spread in recent days that Trump was ready to sign an executive order to abolish the federal agency. Newly minted Secretary of Education Linda McMahon sent a letter to all staff on her first day on the job earlier in March that she will lead a, quote, momentous final mission, end quote, to send education back to the states. In that statement, she said, quote,
we dumb as fuck.
To respect the will of the American people and the president they elected, who is tasked with accomplishing the elimination of bureaucratic bloat here at the Department of Education. So following that, nearly half of the workforce there with the Department of Education set to be eliminated immediately. And speaking
it's time for guillotine.
I want to take you out to a live event.
It's time to raise the boards. It's time to sharpen blades. We just can't take this anymore. Those peaceful protests just were not cutting it. Martin Luther King and Gandhi both can go suck a dick. Martin Luther King and Gandhi both can go suck a dick. T-minus, welcome in. People don't even understand what the Department of Education does. They think it sets curriculum, and it doesn't. They're fucking stupid. Textbook companies have more to do with setting curriculum than the Department of Education does, you dumb fucks, because you don't know how anything works. This next video I'm going to show you, I want you to take with a grain of salt. They say they're anonymous. Are they anonymous? What is anonymous? Is anonymous good? Who fucking knows? Well, let's listen to what they got to say, because it'll be fun.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. The effects of Donald Trump's presidency are no longer distant warnings. They are here, unfolding before you. While many remain unaware, blinded by the administration's relentless efforts to suppress the truth, the rest of the world is watching, and it is responding. Long-standing alliances with key nations such as Canada and Mexico are fracturing inch by inch. The cracks are widening, and the global community is reassessing its trust in the United States.
Josephus is pissed at us.
If, but when these relationships will collapse entirely. The consequences will be severe. Every imported product you rely on, everyday essentials, food, technology, will see skyrocketing prices, making even basic necessities unattainable for the average American. What you perceive as a simple rise in costs is, in reality, a calculated strategy. The plan? To systematically dismantle the lower class, to push those already struggling into the abyss of poverty where they will face an impossible choice.
That's called capitalism.
Perish or submit to servitude under the wealthy elite. Make no mistake, this is economic warfare, and the target is you. The recent ICE raids are not just about immigration enforcement, they are about control. The Trump administration seeks to reignite the flames of racial inequality and segregation-era policies, erasing diversity to craft a nation built on division and fear. These operations are disrupting local economies, forcing businesses to crumble, and ensuring the economic elimination of the working class. What follows is a society engineered to serve the interests of the few at the cost of the many. And as the oligarchy takes shape, another darker ideology is creeping into the mainstream.
I mean, Guy Fawkes ain't wrong.
Ideals, once whispered in the shadows, are now being openly embraced. Symbolism matters. Gestures matter. Elon Musk, a figure of immense influence, recently tested the waters with a gesture recognized worldwide as a Nazi salute. This was not an accident. It was a message, a challenge, a warning. But know this, the people are not silent. Despite the administration's best efforts to muzzle dissent, the voices of resistance grow louder. Trump's reckless overhauls, his purges of experienced government officials, his chaotic restructuring of critical infrastructure have created vulnerabilities, weaknesses, entry points. This transition period is his greatest.
So basically, Trump is so bad, he's turned anonymous into institutionalists.
Liability, but it is also our greatest opportunity. The rushed implementation of new systems, the mass firings of key personnel, and the chaotic dismantling of existing structures have left behind critical gaps that Anonymous can and will exploit. Every system that has been hastily restructured without foresight, every official removed without proper transition planning, leaves behind exposed veins within the government's framework. These vulnerabilities are more than just bureaucratic inefficiencies. They are cracks in the foundation that can and will be breached. Anonymous watches. Anonymous waits. The time to act is fast approaching.
It's just like a loose-knit group of supposed white hat hackers.
Their overconfidence in their ability to silence dissent and erase opposition will be their undoing. We know where to look. We know how to strike. But understand this. Our intervention, no matter how disruptive, will only be a temporary roadblock unless you, the people, rise.
I'm skeptical.
This is your chance. The transition period is fleeting, and once they solidify their grip, your options will vanish.
They came out and said that
in the future. To those
they were responsible for the
your decisions now will determine your future. We are anonymous.
DDoS attack on Twitter yesterday, right?
Do not forget. Expect us.
I just played you the video because it's fun. I don't have an opinion for or against. I don't know that they're real. I've always been skeptical of what they are or are not. I have no opinion one way or the other. War Machine's like, yeah, wow, no shitpost for a day. I mean, they attacked it to try to attack Elon's value, I would assume. I'm all for some industrial sabotage. Anonymous gifter after the anonymous story. Oh, fucking. Bravo. Bravo. No notes. But maybe we need Anonymous on our side because we are in a war. We are in, one might call it an information war. One might call it an info war. Former InfoWars reporter found murdered.
We've learned the man shot and killed in Southeast Austin over the weekend was a reporter for InfoWars. Police confirmed 36-year-old Jamie White's identity this morning, with InfoWars also confirming the news on social media. Investigators say White was shot late Sunday night in the parking lot of his apartment complex along Douglas Drive. Detectives believe the suspects may have been trying to break into White's car when he interrupted them. Police have not released a description of the suspects, but they are asking anyone who may have had their vehicle burglarized that night to give them a call.
This is that leftist audio with this KXAN news channel in Austin. They are going nuts online about it. The InfoWars reporter who was murdered was on a Ukraine enemies list. Oh my God. So the conspiracy theories are already flying. I've already talked to producer Dave about this. And producer Dave even said it. He was like, it probably nothing to do with who he was. He probably wasn't even targeted because of his reporting. T-, thank you for the gift sub. God damn, you guys are being so generous tonight. Love you guys so much. Thank you, Casey. T-, anonymous. Fucking A, T-, thank you. Way to make a guy feel loved. Greatly appreciate it. So we're into the crime section of the show. I'm going to go ahead and hit the content warning. We're starting off, well, I guess we already started off with the dead InfoWars reporter. We're going out to L.A., where, surprise, surprise, the LAPD, they're racist as fuck. Can you believe that? Can you believe that the LAPD is racist?
Department is under fire after a complaint was filed accusing officers of making racist and derogatory comments about their colleagues. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30. I'm Cher Calvin.
And I'm Sandra Mitchell. And tonight from Micah Ullman, those alleged racist
Thank you, T-.
The officers all captured by a secret recording.
KTLA's Rachel Menitoff is live in our newsroom with the very latest. Rachel?
Cher, Sandy, the LA Times obtained a complaint filed by a current LAPD officer against the Los Angeles Police Department. He secretly recorded dozens of conversations for the better part of a year. And these recordings...
Oh, God! He's a snitch! Nobody to root for here. I don't...
allegedly show officers and supervisors openly discriminating against potential police recruits and their fellow colleagues. Secret recordings reveal LAPD cops spewing racist, sexist, and homophobic comments, complaint alleges. That's the headline of an explosive LA Times article. Its reporters review a complaint filed on January 5th with the Los Angeles Police Department's Professional Standards Bureau and the Inspector General's office. The complaining officer is a Latino man with 10 years on the job. He details parts of roughly 90 secret recordings he made within the department's recruitment office between March and October of last year, and portrays officers and supervisors voicing open discrimination against potential recruits and colleagues based on race, sex, and sexual orientation. These same officers were tasked
to
join the LAPD. The officer indicated that colleagues
just Charlie dressed as Serpico.
And prejudicial banter. And, quote, the supervisor is accused of letting his officers review the names of new background investigators for the unit, then allowing officers to veto them as they came up for hiring. The complaint alleges one lieutenant saw and overheard many of these conversations and was inactive. Instead, he's quoted as saying, "Man, we're going to end up in the LA Times the way you all talk in here. Bring down the whole department." The content of the complaint was shared with Mayor Karen Bass last month, but the actual
the fact that that was quoted by the LA Times just makes that even better. From a complaint reviewed by the LA Times.
It is saying, "Man, we're going to end up in the LA Times the way you all talk in here. You all can bring down the whole department." The content of the complaint was shared with Mayor Karen Bass last month, but the actual transcription of the tapes hasn't been reported until now. In a statement to KTLA, Mayor Bass called the conduct outrageous and unacceptable. She says the chief and I are on the same page about the urgent need to fix the recruiting and hiring process and make sure that officers stuck in the past don't tarnish the badge for everyone else. And here is Chief Jim McDonnell.
We don't tolerate that type of behavior in the workplace. Especially critical now in light of our recruitment efforts, and to have a trusted unit like this alleged to have done these kind of activities, we take it very, very seriously.
The Los Angeles Police Protective League sent us a statement today, quote, "After a thorough, fair, and transparent investigation of this alleged misconduct, any officer found to have broken the public trust must be held accountable." Chief Jim McDonnell said today that everyone named in this complaint has now been removed from police duty. Live in the newsroom, I'm Rachel Menitoff. Cher, back to you.
Rachel, thank you.
This one's wild. I don't even... The only time I've ever even heard about a hyperbaric chamber was Michael Jackson back in the 90s. That there was some wild story that he was sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber. I don't even know what a hyperbaric chamber is. But 4 people have been charged in the death of a 5-year-old boy who was incinerated inside of a hyperbaric chamber.
4 people have now been arrested and charged in connection with the death of a 5-year-old boy who was killed in a hyperbaric chamber in Troy.
News 8's Amber Kriska is in studio with more details in this story. Amber.
Sue and Brian, Thomas Cooper died in the explosion on January 31st while he was undergoing treatment at the Oxford Center. Court records show the center's founder and chief executive, Tamala Peterson, is charged with second-degree murder. 2 others, including the Oxford Center's safety manager, are charged with second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. 1 other person is charged with intentionally placing false medical information on a medical records chart. Speaking about the incident today, Attorney General Dana Nessel, she said there were essential safety procedures that were not followed.
My office is confident that second-degree murder charges are appropriate for these individuals. This offense requires that the prosecution prove
Wood TV
or defendants acted either with intent to kill or commit great harm, or, as specifically articulated in the law, to have acted in wanton and willful disregard of the likelihood that the natural tendency of said act would result in death.
The suspects were arraigned this afternoon in Troy District Court. Sue?
Yes, Sue. The story we did yesterday about the tanker, we apparently have arrests now. We watched that wild footage of a U.S. tanker that collided with a... I don't even know what the other vessel was.
A man is under arrest in the UK in connection with the deadly oil tanker collision off the coast of England. British officials say a Portuguese cargo ship slammed into a oil tanker, leaving fuel spilling into the North Sea.
Was he drunk?
Now,
oh shit.
Crews are racing to contain the damage as the cargo ship is expected to sink and as 1 crew member is now presumed to be dead. Foreign correspondent Marcus Moore joins me from Grimsby, England, with more on that.
Hi, Diane. Already a long day for investigators and officials here in the UK as they continue to monitor the situation in the North Sea where these 2 boats collided yesterday. Now, we've heard from officials that the fire is still burning on that Portuguese cargo ship that is adrift in the North Sea right now, moving at about 2 nautical miles an hour, officials are saying. And right now they're monitoring that with other boats to keep the ship from going ashore. They also say that they believe that at some point it will sink into the sea. At the same time, that U.S. Oil tanker is still anchored in just off the coast here in Grimsby, where we are. We heard from an official, a spokesperson with the company that is operating that boat, and they say that the fire there has been greatly diminished, but seeming to suggest that there is still the potential for hot spots, and that's why officials are being very careful in monitoring what's happening here. At the same time, we learned today that officials believe a sailor who is missing. They believe that sailor has passed away, and that's the reason why their urgent search and rescue operation was suspended. And we don't anticipate that they will continue that search at this point. I can tell you that it has been cold and windy today, and those are the kinds of conditions that they are dealing with as they monitor this developing situation, and at the same time keep a very close eye on the potential for an environmental impact. That jet fuel that's been spilling into the sea, posing a threat. We know that the American vessel.
No more jet fuel melts whatever jokes. We did those last night.
Of jet fuel, and some of that fuel has been leaking into the sea, and so officials will be watching that and mitigating the risks there as they continue their investigation into trying to figure out what caused this deadly accident.
Let's keep it abroad. This is the Dominican Republic, is it? Yeah, the Dominican Republic, where apparently Tool played a repeat set when they did 2 nights at a destination concert over the weekend and got booed by their own fans. Maybe they had something to do with this missing college student.
This is the resort where Sudiksha Kunanki was last seen.
By question Maynard James Keenan.
Hours of Thursday, March 6th, according to authorities here in the Dominican Republic. You can see.
Oh my God! Did you guys see that?
Frankly, today people out.
Like Jesus
is buzzing with people. Frankly, today people. Sudiksha Kunanki was last seen in the early morning hours of Thursday, March 6th, according to authorities here.
God damn, what a booty.
In the Dominican Republic. You can see the resort is buzzing with people, frankly, today. People out here tanning. People
Sorry.
People having drinks. You can hear music in the background. But we've also seen a helicopter flying overhead, a drone hovering over the water, teams getting in the water from a boat.
Mr. Sprunk.
Camouflage along with the Red Cross and at least one canine out here as well with the National Police for the Dominican Republic. A
you guys can totally tell why they don't let me do the real news anymore. I have to do it on Twitch.
Since early Thursday. Police tell us that at least twice overnight, they have had a team stationed out here to watch what goes on with the water, to see where the water moves, to know where someone potentially would be drifting if
put Justin in horny jail.
Hours. And so that is one of the things that investigators are telling us
MILF?
About how things are unfolding. But we are now into the
it's not like you're ugly.
Kunanki being missing, and at this point, there are still a lot of unanswered questions as to what happened to her in those early morning hours of Thursday, March 6th. Back to you.
You were looking for something serious on the Troll Patrol? Is that what you're saying? Well, this one's serious. You fuckers, this is the kind of story everyone in my chat is going to absolutely love. This is extra disturbing, extra fucked up. You're not gonna believe. You're not gonna believe what I'm getting ready to tell you. A man? Well, shit. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This one's wild. A man had passed away. He apparently had been convicted of sexual assault. The embalmer that worked on him has now been charged with mutilating a corpse. Apparently, did some shit to his junk.
The allegations here are rare and disturbing. This embalmer is accused of stabbing this dead man twice in the groin area, then cutting off part of his private part and putting it in his mouth. Investigators say it all happened after she learned about his past.
Okay, I didn't know about the putting it in his mouth thing. Wait, did he put it in the corpse's mouth? Or did he put it in his own mouth? Because we're on... mutilate the corpse of the guy because he's a piece of shit. Probably deserves to be mutilated. The corpse's mouth.
Here are rare.
Either is understandable, really,
Balmer
yeah.
is accused of stabbing this dead man twice in the groin area, then cutting off part of his private part and putting it in his mouth. Investigators say it all happened after she learned about his past. At Memorial Mortuary on the southwest side, it's a situation that no family would ever want to hear about their loved one.
This was a vicious, brutal attack of a...
Nobody loved him.
The person's already dead. It's kind of shocking even to me.
Licensed embalmer Amber Laudermilk is accused of using a scalpel to twice stab a man in the groin after he died of pneumonia last month. She cut off his private part, put it in his mouth, according to records, and told a trainee who witnessed it, "You didn't see anything."
Troubled lives coexisted at the same time, but this person clearly...
God forbid women have hobbies.
Just went off the edge.
Harris County Precinct 1 constable deputies investigated. They say employees were too scared to report her, who, according to records, covered the dead man up with a towel when a colleague noticed the disfigurement. While a motive isn't clear, records show mortuary staff had just learned the victim was a registered sex offender. How important are ethics in this line of work?
Ethics is everything in this line of work.
Jason Altieri runs Southeast Texas Crematory, not connected to this case, admitting this could have been hard to predict. He says families should be aware of where loved ones will be cremated, feel comfortable to ask questions, and be able to visit and see it in person.
Whether we have, a particular judgment one way or the other, it doesn't matter. We're there for a family, and we have to keep that in mind.
Staff reported the case involving Laudermilk to the Texas Funeral Service Commission. The executive director says it's the only criminal abuse of corpse case across the state in the last 2 years.
Dealing with the loss of a loved one is an incredibly difficult time, and there are predators who exploit this vulnerability.
Families should proactively verify the credentials of funeral homes and directors, he says, using the agency's license lookup before putting someone to rest. Laudermilk has been a funeral director in Texas since 2021, according to records. Now the state will seek to suspend and possibly revoke her license.
It makes us all look bad, and that's the sad thing about this.
Memorial Mortuary tells KPRC2 Laudermilk no longer works there, but declined to provide any additional details, citing a personnel matter and ongoing legal case. The State Funeral Service Commission says investigators will be looking into the business as well to make sure all rules got followed.
How ironic, MILF. I would think it was a horrible thing to do to a corpse in virtually every instance. But that one, that's one of those gray areas for me. Well, that's why I don't have the job. It didn't accomplish anything, no. And the mortuary industry might have lost a good person because of it. Ironically, he tried to suck his own dick the day before he died. That's how Trevor Moore died. We have footage from a helicopter of a deadly chase in Newport Beach, Florida.
Well, we have new video that's been released from a deadly pursuit that ended on the Newport Beach pier last month. The suspect, who was wanted for homicide, stopped his vehicle at the end of the pier before police opened fire.
Oh, wow.
That suspect, Jose Velasquez, died at the scene.
I bet.
First started following him after another agency told them he shot and killed a woman just hours earlier in Menifee. Once officers found him, the chase started going along surface streets and then freeways before ending on the pier. Authorities say he was armed with a gun, and a gun was recovered from the scene. Fortunately, no other people on the pier were injured.
Wow, the people just on the pier.
Great ABC7 content.
From the scene. Fortunately, no.
I'd be one of the sick fucks that would be into watching that. Like, oh my God, there's a police chase. But it doesn't look like anybody else is having that that reaction. Ooh. This is video of the aftermath of a crash that happened in New Jersey. I think it was last night. It was a school bus crashed.
New video shows the crash in New Jersey that hurt more than a dozen people. It happened overnight with a packed school bus. It crashed and it flipped over on a highway. The driver and one student had serious injuries. 13 others had minor injuries. That crash remains under investigation.
One boy remains critical following that crash. Get you the latest info on it. We have a video.
After a bus accident on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey last night, 13 students were also treated in the area hospitals for minor injuries. Christine Sloan covers New Jersey and has more.
The 14-year-old rushed to the hospital in critical condition Monday night after getting ejected and pinned under the bus when it flipped over on the Garden State Parkway. The terrifying crash happening near the James Gandolfini service area in Montville, New Jersey. The teenager, part of a group of rabbinical students heading from Lakewood to New York so they could take part in a post-wedding celebration known as a Sheva Brachot for the Grand Rabbi of New Square's grandchild. A spokesperson for the Chaverim of Rockland County, an emergency services organization, credits the Woodcliff Lake and Montvale Fire Departments
Tony Soprano
for saving the 14-year-old's life by lifting the bus to rescue
Tony Soprano Parkway, basically.
The organization also says the New Jersey State Police did a phenomenal job pulling the students off the bus, then respectfully gathering the boys' sacred black leather prayer boxes with Torah verses in them.
Oh my God.
Over the highway. State police officials still don't know what caused the crash. A spokesperson says it was a single
God was smiting you.
bus veering off the road and flipping over. We tried to get comment from the bus driver, but no one answered the door at what's believed to be his home in Lakewood. In Ocean County, New Jersey, Christine Sloan, CBS News, New York.
What's that thing called? A mutzvah or something that they put on the door? Or a matitza. Matutza. Something like that. I would recommend never calling the cops. No matter what the situation is, the cops always make things worse. Even if you're a 4-year-old and your mom ate your ice cream.
King County 911. What's the address of your emergency?
My mom is being bad.
Okay. What's going on?
Hello? Come and get my mommy.
Okay, what's going on?
Come get my mommy.
Do you know your...
Hello.
Hi, what's going on over there?
Oh, this little one got the phone, and he's 4.
Okay.
And we're trying to catch him because he said he was going to call 911. No, I told him I just called the police, and I just told her to come and get my mommy. And I just told her, and I just had to get my mommy, and I just told her to put her to jail. So leave me alone.
I ate his ice cream, so that's probably why he's calling 911.
Why'd you eat his ice cream? No one wants to hear from your old ass. It was this week in Wisconsin. A 4-year-old boy was so upset he called the authorities after his mom ate his ice cream. They apparently returned the next day with an ice cream delivery. They brought the little boy ice cream. The boy thought his mama needed to go to jail when he would make that call. Little dude's got a Super Mario hoodie on. That's fucking cool. I did make it through the clock, didn't I? Yes. Before I said fucking. I didn't know. Oh, God. And with this one, it's not always the fastest corgi in the race that's going to steal your heart. Calling in a false report.
Give it up for the Razorback fans. What a great little corgi. The winner in the first heat was Goose.
Yay!
All right.
Oh, look at those babies. Barney jail.
Razorback fans. What a great little corgi.
Oh, I love that baby.
First heat was Goose. And that was yummy. All right. The winner in the first heat was Goose. And that was yummy. All right.
If you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Carla's Wild Ride. You may recognize her from chat. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.